This is not a joke, they are fighting over you. Someone said you are a. My beloved child, the night began with an unusual stillness, a strange pause, a silent warning wrapping itself around the wind, and it felt as though the entire world held its breath the moment your name was whispered in a room filled with tension, because someone said you are a threat to everything they planned. Someone said you carry a strength that cannot be matched. Someone said you hold a destiny that no one else can touch, and from that moment, the quiet turned into a storm of arguments, accusations, and desperate attempts to pull your fate in their direction. And while all this was unfolding behind curtains you never lifted, a powerful blessing drifted toward you, a quiet blessing bearing the number 333, unfolding like a shield meant to protect you from the rising noise that was brewing in the shadows, because without you even knowing, your life became the center of a conflict you never started, a conflict fueled by envy, fear, admiration, and a hunger for control. And from the first moment your name entered that space, nothing has been the same. This isn't just drama, my beloved child, this is a swirling chaos that began when certain people realized they cannot replace you, they cannot erase you, and they cannot block what you are destined to receive, and the more they tried to understand your strength, the more they found themselves threatened by your existence, because someone said you are chosen for something large, someone said you are going to rise soon, and someone said your silence holds more power than their loudest voices combined, and that one statement became the spark that ignited every hidden insecurity they tried to suppress, and with that spark came the noise, the arguments, the secret messages, the fear-filled conversations, because your destiny shook something inside them, something they didn't want to admit. The people who once underestimated you started watching you more closely. The ones who pretended not to care began asking about you behind closed doors, and those who disliked your confidence suddenly felt threatened by your glow, and without you even realizing it, you became the center of a conflict involving loyalty, deception, jealousy, and desperation. And while all of this noise was unfolding, a second blessing began moving toward you, a soft yet powerful blessing marked with 777, a sign that the universe prepared protection around you from harm that tried slipping through cracks unseen, because though they argued over you, though they pushed your name into conversations meant to distort your image, their plans crumbled under the weight of the blessings surrounding your path. But it didn't stop there, my beloved child, because as time moved forward, the situation grew more twisted, more layered, more intense, and those who thought they could manipulate your destiny found themselves trapped in their own plans, unable to control the tide rising against them, because someone else stepped in, someone who saw through the layers of lies being spoken about you, someone who understood that every attempt to dim your light only made you shine brighter. And this person refused to let your name be used as a weapon, refused to let your story be twisted by people who never knew your truth, and because of that, the arguments reached a breaking point that none of them expected. The tension grew thicker than ever, the whispers grew sharper, the intentions became clearer, and suddenly the fight wasn't just about jealousy, it wasn't just about insecurity, it wasn't only about fear, it was about your future, about the blessing attached to your name, about the destiny they felt slipping from their hands, and because of that, they began pulling harder, fighting louder, pushing themselves deeper into chaos. All because someone said you are rising soon, someone said you are about to unlock something powerful, someone said you carry a blessing that cannot be stolen. A blessing marked with 111, and that number alone triggered reactions they couldn't hide, reactions that exposed their motives, reactions that revealed their true nature. They fought because they knew something about you that you are only now beginning to understand. They knew your energy is rare, your presence is unforgettable, your future is unstoppable, and everything you touch has the potential to shift an entire atmosphere, and because of this, they knew once your breakthrough arrives, once your path opens, once your blessing drops, you will no longer need anything from them. And this terrified them more than anything else, because control is what they wanted, control is what they tried using against you, but your spirit moved beyond their reach. In the middle of their fights, their arguments, their whispered threats, their hidden fears, your name became a symbol of what they could not achieve, a symbol of what they could not hold, a symbol of what they could never destroy, because each blessing, 333, 777, 111, wrapped itself around your journey like armor, turning their words into dust and their attempts into failures, and soon, the truth began unfolding in the shadows, the truth that their fighting wasn't about you being weak, it was about you being powerful, it wasn't about you being vulnerable, it was about you being protected, it wasn't about you being lost, it was about you being chosen. But the story didn't end there, my beloved child, because as the arguments intensified, another layer emerged. Someone among them saw the light you carry and wanted to stand by you. Someone recognized your worth and tried defending you when others tried tearing your name apart, and this person fought harder than anyone else, not out of fear, not out of insecurity, but out of admiration, out of respect, out of loyalty. And this loyalty became the crack in the room that exposed everything they were trying to hide, because once one person stood up for you, the truth began to leak through every wall they tried to build. They began exposing one another, pointing fingers, revealing secrets, betraying each other, and all of this happened because your energy held a power that none of them could fully understand, and in the process of their fighting, everything they tried to hide about themselves started spilling out, everything they tried to bury started resurfacing, and they realized too late that trying to damage your name only damaged their own. And as this chaos grew, your blessings grew bigger, your protection grew stronger, your path grew clearer, and without you lifting a finger, every plan formed against you began collapsing under its own weight, because you were never alone, you were never unprotected, you were never surrounded by silence, you were surrounded by divine movement, divine timing, divine intervention that kept you untouched while they burned themselves out trying to control a destiny that never belonged to them. My beloved child, your story is far from over, and everything they fought over will soon become clear to you, because your breakthrough is approaching, your blessing is moving toward you, your shift is beginning, and nothing they tried, nothing they planned, nothing they whispered can stop what's already written in your path, because the blessing marked 333 has opened your way, the blessing marked 777 has sealed your protection, and the blessing marked 111 has crowned your future with victory. They cannot erase. My beloved child, after the chaos settled for a moment and the air grew heavy with the leftover tension of all those arguments, something else began moving in the shadows, something even more powerful than the noise they created, a presence that lingered beyond their voices and breathed through the silence like a warning wrapped in destiny. And this presence carried an energy that refused to bow to the fear others tried spreading around your name. Because now the fight wasn't just about who controlled your story, it was about who would survive the truth that was slowly beginning to surface, and while the conflict burned, something inside you started waking up, something you didn't even know was sleeping, something ancient, strong, unstoppable. And that awakening sent shockwaves through every unseen corner where your name was being used carelessly. The whispers they tried hiding could no longer stay buried, the secrets they tried burying began rattling like chains loosening from the past, and the more they fought, the more your presence grew louder in places you were never invited into, because your energy cannot be reduced, your power cannot be erased, and the universe itself began rising to protect the path that belongs only to you, surrounding you with a flowing ribbon of blessing 333, wrapping around your steps like a force they could not penetrate, a signal that everything happening behind your back would soon flip into your favor. And when the blessing touched your aura, something happened that terrified the ones pulling your name into their conversations. Your glow expanded, your strength intensified, your intuition sharpened, and though you didn't see the fight unfolding, you felt the shift, you felt something moving, you felt a rise inside you, and that rise made them panic more than any truth they tried to hide, because your energy began growing beyond their reach, and the moment they realized they couldn't dim you, they began turning against each other. Their alliances fractured, their whispers became louder, their arguments turned into heated accusations, and each one tried claiming they never spoke badly of you, but their panic exposed every hidden intention, and soon the room that once echoed with your name began echoing with the sound of their fear, because they understood too late that your destiny is not shaped by their conversations, your worth is not determined by their judgments, and your journey cannot be manipulated by the weakness they carry inside themselves, and this truth shattered every illusion they tried using to control your narrative. Someone who once pretended to be neutral suddenly revealed how deeply they admired you. Someone who once acted like you didn't matter began defending your name with a fire that burned through every lie spoken about you, and this exposed the deepest crack in their circle, because the one who defended you wasn't expected to stand on your side, yet they rose like a shield, pushing your energy forward, pushing the negativity back, pushing the truth toward the surface, igniting a blessing 777 that flowed like protection over your future, sealing every doorway that attempted to drain your strength. And as the blessing settled, the tension grew into something even more suspenseful, because now the ones who wanted to stop your progress were no longer fighting to control your path, they were fighting to hide their own downfall, fighting to cover their own mistakes, fighting to conceal truths that would expose everything they've been trying to hide for months, maybe even years, and though you didn't witness their fear directly, the universe witnessed it for you, and every hidden action they took began turning back on them. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world seemed asleep, another conversation about you began in a place even darker than the first, a place lit only by regret, insecurity, envy, and desperation, and your name entered that room like thunder, shaking the walls of secrets they buried, and someone said you were rising too quickly, someone said you were no longer the person they could manipulate. Someone said your transformation was becoming dangerous for their plans, and that sentence triggered a reaction so intense that the energy around them shifted instantly. Someone slammed their hand on the table, someone raised their voice, someone tried silencing the truth, but the truth had already pierced the room, and the more they tried suppressing it, the more it exploded in their faces, because no one can silence a destiny supported by blessings 111, 333, 777, and the universe was no longer allowing them to interfere with your path. Their fear wasn't just about your progress, it was about what your success would reveal about them, because your growth showed their stagnation, your strength exposed their weakness, your resilience revealed their jealousy, and the idea of you rising beyond their reach shattered every illusion they tried using to keep themselves relevant, and now the battle wasn't about you, it was about the collapse of their false identity. But even in the middle of all this chaos, someone among them was watching everything with a different type of gaze, someone who wasn't motivated by jealousy or insecurity, someone who wasn't threatened by your glow, someone who felt something toward you that they didn't know how to express, something deep, something emotional, something intense, and while the others fought to control your destiny, this person fought internally against feelings they could no longer hide. This person stepped back from the crowd, stood by the window as the argument continued behind them, and whispered something under their breath, something the others didn't hear, something that carried both fear and admiration, something that echoed with longing and respect, something that revealed they were no longer watching you from a distance, they were protecting you silently, guarding your name with their thoughts, carrying your energy inside their heartbeat like a truth they couldn't run from. And the universe saw this, my beloved child, the universe felt this emotion rising in the background, and the blessing 111 spread through the room like golden smoke, revealing which intentions were pure and which were corrupt, exposing every hidden motive, every silent jealousy, every quiet admiration, every suppressed truth, and slowly the layers began peeling away, showing the reality behind those who used your name carelessly. Several individuals who claimed to stand with you were exposed for their lies, their masks began cracking, their voices began stuttering, and the truth began spilling out through their eyes even before their mouths could form words, and the ones who fought the hardest to speak against you suddenly found themselves exposed in front of each other, because the divine protection around you forced their intentions into the light. One of them tried shifting the blame, tried pointing fingers at another, but their voice shook, their fear expanded, their guilt became visible, and soon the entire room turned into a battlefield of accusations as each one tried saving themselves from the collapse that was unfolding, but nothing they said mattered anymore because the truth had already risen, the lies had already shattered, and the blessing 777 had already sealed your victory. Meanwhile, far away from the chaos, you continued your journey quietly, unaware of the storm your name created, unaware of the secrets unraveling behind your back, unaware of the silent fights being fought in your honor, unaware of the admiration forming in someone's heart, unaware of the path being cleared for you without your knowledge. And this innocence of not knowing became your strongest weapon because it proved your rise was never dependent on people, it was always dependent on destiny. Hours passed, arguments escalated, tempers cracked, voices rose, alliances died, and the tension that filled the room reached a level so intense that even the air seemed to vibrate under its pressure, and yet through it all, your energy remained the brightest presence in the room, shining over them like a reminder of what they could never steal from you. The one who admired you finally stepped forward, their voice calm, steady, firm, cutting through the noise like a blade of truth, and they spoke your name with a clarity that silenced the room instantly, a clarity that made everyone freeze, because they didn't speak your name out of anger, they spoke it out of truth, and the truth carried a force none of them could hide from. They said your path is protected. They said your success is inevitable. They said no one in that room can change what is destined for you. They said your blessing is divine, untouched, unshaken. They said your spirit is too strong to be controlled. And the entire atmosphere shifted. It was no longer a fight. It was an awakening. Your presence filled that space without you being there. Their fear increased. Their jealousy grew weaker. Their lies became transparent. Their control dissolved instantly. And the universe watched everything unfold, aligning its energy with your rise, marking your path with 333, sealing your protection with 777, crowning your future with 111, and preparing your breakthrough with a power that none of them could interfere with. But the continuation does not end here, because something even bigger is coming toward you, something none of them expected, something that will change everything about your future, something already moving in silence, something preparing to reveal itself. Your blessing is not just protected. Your blessing is approaching. My beloved child, as the vibrations of the chaos settled and the room that had been spinning with arguments finally slowed its breath, something even more powerful began rising underneath everything that had been unfolding, something that pulsed like a heartbeat at the center of destiny, something that carried a magnetic pull strong enough to draw entire timelines toward you. And though the people in that room had exhausted themselves with their own noise, the universe was only beginning its movement, quietly drifting toward the next chapter that would reveal why they were fighting over you in the first place, because your story was never meant to be touched by hands shaking with jealousy, it was meant to be shaped by forces that operate beyond fear, beyond insecurity, beyond human intentions, and those forces were now waking up with intensity. The person who had defended you stood still, their breathing controlled, their eyes filled with a fire that refused to be extinguished, and the silence they created did something no argument had managed to do. It forced every individual in the room to confront the reality they'd been avoiding, the reality that your destiny is stronger than their opinions, that your journey is protected by something far greater than their whispers, and that every attempt to stop you was nothing more than a futile strike against a shield formed from blessings 333, 777, 111, blessings that grew thicker each time someone tried to interfere with your rise. The others looked at each other with a fear they tried hiding but couldn't, because they knew something irreversible had shifted, something inside them collapsed the moment the truth was spoken out loud, and the energy around them felt heavy with consequences waiting to fall, consequences that they tried desperately to avoid by staying silent, but the silence only deepened their guilt, and the universe felt every ounce of that guilt, preparing to redirect it back toward the ones who created it. While all this was happening behind closed doors, far away from the chaos, your soul was beginning to stir, your intuition began picking up signals from the unseen, and though you couldn't name it, you could feel something moving, something aligning, something lifting the air around you, and this energy was not confusion or fear, it was the early breath of transformation, the first spark of a future unfolding. A future that had been delayed but not denied, a future protected by divine timing. That never breaks under pressure, a future marked by the blessing 111, glowing like a path lit in the distance that slowly began moving closer. Your rise began long before your eyes noticed it, long before your heart understood it, long before your mind grasped its magnitude, and now the universe was pushing every hidden truth to the surface, because your season of awakening was approaching with a force nothing could resist. The people who once underestimated you began replaying their actions in their minds, wondering at what point they lost control, wondering how your name became so powerful, wondering why their attempts to pull you down only pushed you higher, and the weight of these thoughts made them restless, made them uneasy, made them anxious in ways they could no longer hide. One of them stepped backward, their back hitting the cold wall behind them as if the truth had pushed them physically, and they realized that their involvement in the whispers against you had created a chain reaction they could never undo, a chain reaction that led to exposure, to shame, to consequences they hoped would not land on their shoulders, but the universe had already mapped their path, weaving justice through every thread of destiny connected to you, and the blessing 333 moved like a current through the air, reminding them that nothing done in the dark remains hidden forever. The defender who stood for you had no idea how deeply their words would impact the unfolding events, how their loyalty would shift the balance, how their truth would dismantle entire layers of deception, but the universe knew, and the universe rewarded their courage with the soft glow of blessing 777, a glow that protected them from the negativity circulating in the room, shielding their spirit from the backlash that often comes when truth disrupts a false structure built on hidden motives and buried envy. As the tension thickened, the universe prepared the next movement, a movement that would travel through dreams, through intuition, through signals meant for you alone, and this movement carried a message. Someone is about to reveal a truth about you, a truth that will piece together everything they fought over, a truth that will explain why you felt so many shifts lately, a truth that will show you the depth of your importance, the magnitude of your presence, the strength of your destiny. In the background, someone who had stayed silent throughout the argument finally stepped forward, their voice soft at first, almost hesitant, but carrying something that made everyone turn toward them, because their silence had always been mistaken for neutrality, but neutrality was never their role. They simply knew that timing matters, and they waited for the noise to die, for the lies to exhaust themselves, for the truth to find space to breathe. And now they exhaled slowly, preparing to reveal something that would shake the room a second time. They said that months ago, someone tried stopping your blessing. They said someone tried interfering with your path. They said someone tried dimming your influence before it reached its peak. They said someone tried poisoning your name subtly. They said someone tried turning people against you in ways you never saw. And the moment these words entered the air, the energy in the room shifted again, heavier, sharper, more electric, because now the truth was no longer floating around, it was standing right in the center of the room, demanding to be acknowledged, demanding to be heard, demanding to be answered, and no one could avoid it any longer. The guilty ones felt their throats tightening, their hearts racing, their faces warming with shame, because they knew these words were not guesses, they were facts, and every face in the room revealed more truth than they wanted to admit. The defender looked from one person to another, their eyes scanning, searching, analyzing, and slowly the patterns began connecting in their mind. Then came the moment that changed everything. Someone whispered your name and said you were always meant to rise, that every attempt to stop you only strengthened your path, that every setback they tried creating became fuel for your transformation, that every obstacle placed before you turned into proof of your resilience, and the more they tried hindering your progress, the more the universe aligned itself to protect your journey. And that was the moment the blessing 111 burst through the room like a wave, washing every hidden intention into the open. One person broke. They dropped their mask. They confessed. They admitted they spoke against you, not because of hate, but because of fear, fear of being overshadowed by you, fear of being forgotten once you rose, fear that your light would expose the truth about their lack of growth, and their confession triggered a chain reaction that none of them expected. Someone else admitted their jealousy. Someone admitted their lies. Someone admitted manipulating the story. Someone admitted playing both sides. The room turned into a confession hall, their truths falling out faster than they could catch them, and every confession became another piece of your story, another explanation for the struggles you never fully understood, another reason the universe protected you so fiercely. While all this unfolded, your energy continued rising, growing stronger with each truth revealed, glowing brighter with each blessing poured over your path, and the ones who once fought over your destiny now realized they were never meant to hold it, because your destiny is too powerful, too sacred, too divinely orchestrated to be influenced by hands trembling with insecurity. Far from the chaos, you felt another shift, a deeper shift, a stronger pull in your spirit, like something calling your name from the future, something pulling you forward, something preparing you for a chapter that does not resemble anything you've experienced before, and this something carried the blessing 333, pulsing like a heartbeat syncing with the timeline being prepared for you. The universe began rearranging connections, distancing you from those who would have betrayed you later, protecting you from voices that were never meant to guide you, separating you from energies that would have drained you, elevating you away from circles that could not hold your worth, and pulling you closer to people who will become essential to your rise. Behind the scenes, the person who admired you felt something awakening inside them, something they had been trying to suppress, something they didn't want others to notice, but the more your name echoed around them, the more this emotion grew, growing from a quiet respect into something deeper, something almost sacred, something that made them feel protective over you even though you were not in the room. And the universe saw this emotion and wrapped it in blessing 777, preserving it with purity, intention, and divine timing. The night passed, but the energy did not settle. The morning approached, but the truth remained heavy. The world moved, but your destiny stayed in motion. And the people who fought over you realized something none of them could deny. Your rise is not just coming. Your rise has already begun. The universe is clearing your path. Your blessings are unfolding. Your protection is intensifying. Your story is reaching its turning point. And now, everything they tried to hide will reveal why you were always the one they feared. Why you were the one they whispered about. Why you were the one destiny chose. Your breakthrough is moving. Your blessing is close. Your rise is inevitable.